soft shell, crawfish, catfish.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Ryan M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hi, I'm Linda Lewis with Lewis Armstrong Family Services here live at New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Come join us. Thank you. Hi, I'm Linda Lewis with Lewis Armstrong Family Services here live at New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Come join us. Thank you.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl. It's Rhonda M. Lawson, and we are back for a new edition of Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. And tonight is a special night. As you can see, I'm wearing my royal blue. In case somebody didn't know, I am a member of the illustrious, the most beautiful organization in the entire world, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And so I decided I wanted to represent tonight. And I'll explain that a little bit later. But right now, I am very excited to bring this lovely lady on who's going to be promoting her very first book, her first published book. And I'm interested in hearing all about it because I've seen this story before in real life. So I was in the military for 23 years, and I did do a couple of combat deployments, a peacekeeping mission, and I knew what it was like when we run into the civilian contractors. You know, they have their world, we have our world, and so this book is kind of based on that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Miss A.E. Thomas a little bit more about that book, but the book is called Project Tours. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the book. What's going on in this story?
Okay, in this story, we have Kyle Brewster, and Kyle is fine beyond words. He's just one of those drop dead gorgeous guys. He's a head turner, and he meets this chick named Rejoice Battle in the PX one day, and you know it's run of the mill for him. He's gone through most of the women in Afghanistan. They're on BAF. And I'm sorry, I'm using acronyms. Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan.
There we go.
Known as BAF. My apologies. And he meets her there and decides, you know, she'll be a nice, you know, one night stand or whatever. But their affair ends up entrapping him in so many ways, and he can't get out of it. And it turns out not to be so much run of the mill for him by the end of the book. And he's into something. He's entangled with her in a way that he can't see his way out.
I'm going to have to read this because I need to find out what in the world she could have done or said to entangle him. I like that word.
And she's not, I mean, she's very average, you know, average looking, you know, somebody that he probably normally wouldn't have paid much attention to, but she was standing in front of him in the PX, so he's kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know.
Well, you know what they used to say back when we were deployed, you know, when you first get there, the women don't look all that good to you, like, oh, they all right. A couple months later, you know, she's starting to look kind of good. And then by the end of the deployment, this is Miss America walking around the desert.
That is so true. You know, out there you can be a 10 easily.
Yes. I've been there. I understand. So I'm guessing you were a contractor yourself in Afghanistan at one time.
I was deployed for 8 years.
Okay, so were you a contractor or were you in the military?
Civilian contractor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And in that 8 years, I saw so much, and I came home and I'm like, this would make an entertaining story. Because no one has told this story. That's the main thing. No one's used this particular venue. The story itself is age old. Married guy has an affair, but not in this venue. And that's what makes Project Horse stand alone.
Right. You don't see, I mean, sometimes you'll see stories where they'll allude to the significant other being overseas or deployed, but this story actually takes place in the desert.
In the desert, yes, on the base. So you go through all the things they go through, you know, as far as the rocket attacks, eating in the DFAC every day, having really
see, there you go again. Everybody doesn't know what a DFAC is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dining facility.
There we go. See, because you're gonna get me caught up with you. We're gonna be sitting here using all these acronyms, and then the rest of my guests are gonna be, and the rest of my viewers are gonna be like, "What are they talking about? We are not in the military."
No, and I just roll them out. That is a terrible habit. I'm gonna get better though. I'm gonna get better.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm gonna catch you as much as I can. But you know, sometimes they just go right past my ear because I'm so used to hearing them.
But you know, crawling in his container,
yes.
You know, his hooch, as we would say out there. You know, crawling into his twin size bed every night.
Yes.
The raids, you know, where they're doing room checks and you're not supposed to have a female in your room. It's just they go through all the things that
terrible
you go
because
through.
I never had any overnight guests when I was over there. I mean, that is just horrible.
It is, but people take it. I knew people because Kyle and Joyce actually lived together in his room out there, and I knew people that did that. They took their chances.
Now I've heard of the married people doing that.
She comes and stays with him some nights. I'm saying she lives there with him.
Wow. Okay, now see that's an interest. I mean, it's not surprising. I don't think I heard of things like that. I've heard of people who had like maybe a overnight guest here or there, but actually living together, I don't think I ever heard that one. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, they get real with it out there now.
I see. I guess that little couple of years.
They still do the raids. You know, they still do the raids, and if you're caught, you are banned.
Yes, and that goes for whether you're a civilian or military.
Absolutely. But you know, with the military, you got the UCMJ with code of military justice.
Military law, people. Military law.
Yes. And they can pretty much pick from it, you know, what they may or may not choose. But with civilians, I've never seen anybody get out of that one. I've seen the military, you know, show mercy in other ways, but I've never seen them show mercy when they busted, you know, somebody breaking that particular rule.
Right.
Which is called General Order 1B. We call it GO1. But, you know, it falls under that.
Look at you. You remember all that. How long has it been since you've been over there? You sound like you just got back yesterday.
No, I actually came home last June.
Okay.
June of 2016.
So you spent 8 straight years over there?
8 straight years.
How was that? Because, you know, military folks, you know, we go in, we do our year, our 15 months or what have you. We might stay for another year depending on what's going on, but then we're gone. But the civilian contractors, many times you're right. They are out there for 4 or 5, as you were, 8 years.
And hence the name of my book, Project Tours. You know, the work that we do in being civilian contractors on a military base is referred to as a project. You're working on the project.
Yes.
And people get out there, and those jobs were never meant to be long term. You're supposed to do a year or 2 and go home. But the money's so good, and the lifestyle it's very forgiving. You know, you can do a lot out there, and you can be anonymous.
Yes.
And so people get stuck. And whereas 1 year turns into 2, 2 into 3, 3 into 8, like with me. And when you overstayed your welcome like that, they call you a project tour. You know, you're just out there getting everything you can get.
Right. I remember a couple, I guess they were dating out there, and they went home and got married. And when they came back, the wife was saying, I don't know why I'm here anymore. I've already paid off my house. I'm married now. I don't need to be. Why am I here?
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. But then there's always one more year is the thing out there. Yeah, I'm only doing 1 more year. I'm saying 1 more year. And that the next year, it's 1 more year. You know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They'll get promoted, or, you know, they finally get a container, whereas they were staying in maybe a relocatable living building or whatever, RLB.
Yes.
You know, just something will happen that will make them say, well, you know what? I can do this another year.
Yeah, well, we're going to be all right. Just 1 more year. You know, we did want that car when we get back.
Yes, indeed. But I think the main thing that keeps everybody out there, as far as civilian contractors goes, is the money. You can't beat the money. I mean, they pay crazy money out there. And once you get acclimated to the environment, it's fairly easy to fall into your routine.
I can imagine that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you know the military does it. After a couple of months, we kind of know what to do, and then we're good. It's just like we're home. Exactly.
You know, walking on the rocks, like I said, the air raids, the attacks. You know, just the whole lifestyle. It's just a whole different lifestyle out there, and I know you know that. Right.
Mm-hmm. So now, when did you start writing? When did you start writing this book? Was it once you got back, or were you still there when you wrote?
I was still there when I started. I started it in 2015. And that's when I came home in June of 2016. I'm like, I need to go home. I need to finish this book. It's actually it's a 4-part series. Okay. So the book that you're seeing is the first one. Book 2, is up for pre-sale on Amazon right now, but the actual launch date will be December 15th.
Awesome. So you already have a schedule already worked out.
I do. I'm hard at work on book 3. It's gone through its first writing, and I got it back from the editor, and now I'm working on it again. But it's just something that I wanted to get out. And like I said, there's no other story like it. Nobody's ever written anything like this. So I'm real proud of it.
Yeah, and you should be proud. I mean, it's always good if you are going to kind of attack an issue that's been written about already, attacking it from a different angle. And this is definitely a different angle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, now you said that you started writing this book while you were still in Afghanistan, and you've already finished book 2?
Mm-hmm.
And you started writing book 2, I guess, when you got back?
Actually, it was one whole book, and they were like, this is too long. You're going to have to split this up. And they were right, because book 1 was 400 pages.
Whoa, goodness, girl.
But you would be surprised. No, people tell me they just tore through it, because my chapters are very short and it's a very easy read. Right. I can't tell you how many people are like, I thought it was going to take me 2 or 3 weeks to read this book, and I read it in 3 or 4 days. I mean, people tell me that all the time. So it's an easy read. It's not tedious. I like my chapters being very short and to the point.
Right. Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. And then when we get back, I do want to dive a little bit into your writing process and just how you even got started with this entire process. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and you stay right there. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Are you a member? Well, now you can join Bethesda House of Prayer every Sunday for our live broadcast. It starts at approximately 9:45 every Sunday morning. Just go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and click play. We can't wait for you to join us from your home. And don't forget, if you want to join us live and in person, service starts for 9 a.m. and we are located at 7601 West Lake Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana, 70072, Suite C.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on a golf course that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Join in on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry. There are no limitations or boundaries. We talk about life, and guess what? That includes you. So download the app today, New Orleans Talk Network, and subscribe on YouTube. That's every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. New Orleans Talk Network, Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready, because the conversation will be hot, and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app, available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
We are talking to author A.E. Thomas, who's written a very provocative novel called Project Horrors. And I know you might hear the word horrors and you're going to think something different, but no, there's an actual real meaning behind the term Project Horrors. And story is all about civilian contractors who go overseas to Afghanistan, and they feel like they're away from their families and they can kind of do what they want to do until they can get back home. This man winds up getting involved with a woman he doesn't need to get involved with, and he gets entangled in a situation that's a little hard to get out of. Do I have it about right?
You have it. You are spot on.
Thank you, girl.
Really? I couldn't have said it better myself.
So now before we went to the break, we said we would talk a little bit about the writing process. I know you said that you saw this situation going on a lot while you were there, and you were there for 8 years. And so how did you decide to just go ahead and say, I'm going to write a book?
It's something I've always wanted to do as far as writing a book. I've always just been looking for that good story. And I felt like I had gleaned enough from everything that I saw out there that I could fill in the blanks with my imagination and write a really good story that would interest people, but that would also be thought-provoking.
Yes.
Because there are some very deep messages in this book series. It's not just about a guy having an affair and getting trapped and, getting into something that he can't get out of.
Right.
It's about the process he goes through of, he actually falls head over heels in love with this woman, but she has a secret. She actually has a couple of secrets, and he's so blinded by her that he doesn't see it. Wow. And that happens sometimes. The readers do, though, because people are always saying, what's up with Rejoice? What's up with Rejoice? Something's wrong with her. Something's not right.
So now tell me this. You said this is going to be a 4-part series. Are all 4 parts going to be about these two people, or are you going to are you going to introduce new characters to the story? What's going on with that?
Very good question. Book 1 ends in a cliffhanger. At the very end, it's a cliffhanger. Book 2 picks right up where book 1 leaves off. It's all about Kyle and Rejoice. Book 3, is what I would call a prequel. It goes back and it talks about the young Rejoice battle and how she got to be who she is, because she's an extremely complicated but interesting character. And so it goes back to her teenage years. And then book 4 brings you back to the present and wraps up everything. It ties up all the knots. Ties everything up with a knot.
Okay. Now, I'm sure you saw a lot of Rejoices out there. So is she basically a composite sketch of all of the people you met while you were there in Afghanistan?
Actually, she is the opposite of everyone I met. The really popular girls were much more flamboyant than she was. She really tried to stay out of the limelight. She hardly ever went to the DFAC. She tried to avoid going to the DFAC. She only went because Kyle wanted to go. Most nights they ate in his room. She is very different in that regard, but as far as what she did, she's very typical.
Okay.
She's very unfortunately.
Now, where can we find this book? Where can we find this book, ma'am?
She was leading him by the nose by the end. My brother said Kyle went from pimp to wimp, and I was like, well, I don't know that I would put it that way.
Okay. I got it. So where can we find this book, ma'am?
It's on Amazon. It's also available at Barnes & Noble.
Okay, so barnesandnoble.com, or can we go into the...
In some stores you can walk in and buy it, but most likely you would have to order it. And on Amazon, it's available on Kindle and in paperback. Hardcover, actually. On Amazon.
You have hardcover. Okay. I see you.
Yes.
All right, so now tell me this. We still have minutes left, but you said writing a book is something that you've always wanted to do. Did you always have a knack for writing, or is this something that you just kind of picked up along the way? How did this get started for you?
I've always had a knack for writing. Always. Like I said, I've written other books. I've just never published. But when I came home, I just had this determination to see this through. It was my own project. And I'm glad that I did, because I think it's something that people need to read. A lot of military wives have shunned it. They don't want to read it.
I can see why. I mean, nobody wants to picture what their man might be doing over there.
Right. And and I can't get upset about that. It's to each his own.
Right.
It's all right.
But now, when you're there, you're there for an entire year.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Yeah, you see the sky, you see the dirt, and you see all the people around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and at one point, Task, another character in the book, says, I think that sheer boredom is one reason why people get so caught up in so many things out there, because there's just nothing to do.
Right.
I mean, you can only go so far in the morale, welfare place where you can go and work out, watch a movie, get on the computers, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But there's only so much of that you can do. And
Right.
beyond that, there's really not much else to do.
Yeah, but then when somebody shows interest in you, you have to ask yourself, is he or she interested in me, or are they just bored?
And that's the problem. You've got the ones where they're just bored and they go home to whomever, and when they're on R&R, and it's like you don't exist, and then when they come back, you get back on. But then there are ones where, when you are sleeping with someone night after night for a year, 2 years, you can say it's nothing to it, but I beg to differ. Like my mother used to say, you keep laying down with somebody, you're going to get up with feelings at some point.
I hear you.
Some kind of feeling, and I've seen people get busted all kinds of ways all day. I've seen men get off the plane in Dubai and their wife is standing there waiting for them. They're getting ready to go on R&R with their side chick, and the wife is in Dubai waiting for them. I saw this happen. So
that's interesting.
It's a lot. It's very interesting. But the good thing is you can't come anywhere past Dubai. You can't come to Afghanistan. As you well know, it's declared a war zone. So no drive-bys, no sneak attacks in that regard.
Right, right.
If you bust somebody, it would have to be in Dubai or somewhere else. So.
So I guess that's your safe zone.
And that's what I say. It's so much irony to this, it's a war zone.
Yes. All right, so let's see. Now, book 1, I believe, was released in June?
July.
Okay. And now book 2 will be released when?
December. It's available for pre-order now on Amazon.
Okay.
But the official release date is December 15th.
All right, so you hear that. Get out there, go to Amazon, pre-order your copies. Well, go ahead and pre-order book 2, but go ahead and order book 1, because you need to be reading book 1 while you're waiting on book 2 to come, so that we can keep up with the story. Okay, peoples?
Absolutely.
All right.
Because you won't understand book 2. It's not one of those books you can just come in on.
Right. You really need to read book 1. And who wants to read a series of books from the middle anyway? So just go ahead and get book 1, pre-order book 2, read book 1 while you're waiting for book 2, and then go to you have a Facebook page as well, don't you?
I do. Author A.E. Thomas. I think somebody already had the name A.E. Thomas.
Okay,
yes.
So go to author A.E. Thomas, so you find out when book 3 will be released, so that way you can keep up with the series. So where else can we find you? So we know we can find you at author A.E. Thomas on Facebook. What about Instagram?
I'm on Instagram, and I'm ashamed to say I have not really been doing much with it, but I'm in the process of working that out and trying to get it up and going.
You gotta get on it now. You're gonna have to get on some Snapchat too now.
I got too many irons in the fire, but that is definitely on my list of things to do, like in the very, very near future.
Yes. Well, I am very happy that we have had a chance to connect, and that we had a chance to talk. I do hope that you decide to come to New Orleans in a couple of months.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this sounds like a really interesting story, and I definitely will be going out to get my copies. And you notice I say copies.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yes.
I say copies.
Well, I thank you so much for having me. This was just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I appreciate it.
Oh, and thank you for joining us tonight. And congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on getting back here safely. Because people don't realize that the civilians over there can be in just as much danger as the military.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, thank God for you coming back safely and for you be able to find your family intact. And you're intact.
Yes.
And then congratulations on your books and much more success to come.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Now, we'll be right back. And when we get back, we are going to have Mr. Marvin Bryson, who will be joining us to talk about his book, Expectancy. For all of you people who might be out there taking care of a loved one or an elderly relative, this is the book that you need to purchase. So we'll be right back, and we're going to learn more about that. So have a great, or don't have a great night. You stay here. Just stay right here. We're going to be right back. Ready? All righty.
Are you a member of Bedside Baptist? Well, now you can join Bethesda House of Prayer every Sunday for our live broadcast. It starts at approximately 9:45 every Sunday morning. Just go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and click play. We can't wait for you to join us from your home. And don't forget, if you want to join us live and in person, service starts for 9 a.m. and we are located at 1 West Lake Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana, 70072, Suite C.
Are you looking for a hall to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on a golf course that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Join in on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry. There are no limitations or boundaries. We talk about life, and guess what? That includes you. So download the app today, New Orleans Talk Network, and subscribe on YouTube. That's every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. New Orleans Talk Network, Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready because the conversation will be hot and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
Mr. Marvin Bryson is in the studio with me. Hey.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here in the Big Easy.
I'm glad to have you here. You just flew in today, huh?
Actually, I flew in yesterday and, did a little walkabout last night. And
so you went to Canal Street?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, not really. For the most part, I was, just tweaking my presentation for my event tomorrow and, actually watching a couple of your shows. Doing a little research.
Now, I will tell you, it's very obvious that you've been to New Orleans before because most newbies to New Orleans will not just sit in their room and work when they first get here. They want to go out and see Bourbon Street and Canal Street and the French Quarter and all the other good stuff.
Yeah, well, I've been here numerous times, and I'm one of those people who's had one too many hurricanes on occasion.
Oh, see.
And too many beignets and all that good stuff. So
the beignets will do it to you.
Yeah, it was a beautiful town. Nice people. Weather was great, but it was like 80 degrees when I got here yesterday, and the weather dropped like 40 degrees, and it's raining. We even talking about snow, which is, I guess, kind of rare down here.
Yeah, it's not real pretty outside right now. It's a lot of rain going on, but that's okay though. It's quite all right.
Yeah.
We're gonna get through it.
Hey, it's good to go. I'm living in D.C. these days. I moved back home not too long ago, and so I just got used to the winter weather. So it started to get a little chilly up here.
So you're okay then?
Yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, okay.
Great, good to go.
And I do like the fact that you're wearing that blue shirt. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not exactly the right shade of blue.
Right.
It has to be like this shade of blue, but that's okay. I like the fact that you're wearing it.
Okay. And I know why.
Now, you might have heard Marvin mention that he was preparing for an event tomorrow, but tomorrow he is going to be a part of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated Alpha Gamma Zeta chapter. I know that's a big mouthful, but Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated Alpha Gamma Zeta chapter, one of the New Orleans chapters here. We are hosting a caregiver summit, and I am a proud member of that chapter, and we're looking forward to starting this summit. And what this summit's going to be all about is providing encouragement to people who care for their sick and elderly loved ones. Okay, we have the flyer up. You can go ahead and put that flyer up. It's coming. Yeah, okay, so it's coming up. So, so as we were saying, a lot of times we're thinking, okay, we have a sick relative. I'm going to go ahead and take care of him or her, but there's so much more involved in that.
Yeah, well, first, before we get into that, I want to commend your organization and all the Black Greek organizations. I'm a proud father of a Delta, and I have nieces that are AKAs, and I have a lot of friends that are Zetas, and I have male friends in the other Greek organizations. And I think a lot of people really overlook community service. A lot of people want to go to the black tie events and everything like that, but they don't look at how you truly have a community service. And that's really what the sororities and fraternities is all about, helping uplift and helping the community. So hats off to everybody.
Well, thank you very much. And we're so glad that you agreed to come here and be a part of this event.
Well, I'm really happy to be here. And because caregiving, on my back cover of my book, I speak about how caregiving is America's ultimate challenge as the population ages. We're rapidly moving toward a place in time where there's going to be more elderly people than working people. And fortunately or unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with this issue. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. I talk about the book in many ways, but I kind of wrote the book. It's almost like cathartic for me because I've been a caregiver now for 7 or 8 years. And I'm in a family caregiving situation. My brother and sister are really supportive, and we've all kind of carried the weight with my mom at one point or another. But as she slipped into bad health with my background in healthcare and things like that, I've kind of had to be the one to kind of take the lead.
Right. It's interesting that you said, and it's actually a very good thing that you mentioned it, that your brother and your sister actually have been helping to try to shoulder some of the load, because I've seen it personally, probably in both sides of the family, where many times the primary caregiver actually starts to get upset with the other brothers and sisters or aunts and uncles or whomever, feeling like they're leaving all of the burden onto this one person.
Right.
And then they start to resent the other people, saying, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And then the other person is thinking, well, you're taking over everything and you're not giving us a chance to do this or that. And so I'm sure you've probably seen something like that a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. In your prior segment, you all were talking about military folks. And my dad did 22 years in the Air Force. And rest his soul, he's buried in Arlington Cemetery. But, we were military kids, and we moved around a lot. So my brothers and sisters and I, we're kind of close. We're like a little tribe. And, my mom, we've been blessed. I mean, she'll be 92 her birthday.
Wow,
and
wonderful.
So she's been retired well over 20 years. And, and my dad, he passed away about 18 years ago. So, life's changed, circumstances change over that long of a period. And, early on, when my dad first passed away, it was my big brother who was carrying the weight. Him and his family, really took care of my mom while I was living out in California. And then her health had got to the point to where we had moved her to North Carolina, her home, but also to be closer to my sister. Yes. So my sister was carrying the heavy water at that point. And then about 7 years ago, I left LA, and I decided to come and kind of help my sister out because I realized what that burden was. And that's pretty much where the book picks up. The book is kind of a linear story of how caregiving can kind of take over your life.
Right.
And my mom and dad, thank goodness, they made some wise financial decisions. And so there's assets you have to manage. There's income out there that you may or may not notice available given your circumstance, whether you're a veteran. There's additional funds out there for widows of veterans that we found out about 20 years into her retirement, and thank God we did, because it's funding her care right now. It's really the difference between her being able to afford.
But how do we find these things? Because this isn't something that comes on a commercial break. We don't see it on the news. If we don't really do some digging, we may never find these funds. So how do we go about looking for these things?
Okay, well, one of my favorite truths is, they call them old sayings, and I call them truths. And one of my truths is an educated person does not know everything, but they know where to find them.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of living in America. The library is not closed. It boggles my mind why people act like the library is off limits. I mean, there's so much information out here. But you have to put the time and work in to do it. And that's really one of the reasons why I wrote my book. It's not a how-to guide so much so as of this is what I went through. This is what you might want to think about. And my particular situation, it pretty much covers the gamut. Okay. With my dad being a veteran, with my dad passing away, if you're not married to a patient, you don't have access to their medical records.
Right.
So even if you are your parents' caregiver, for example, if you don't have a HIPAA release, you can't get any medical information from the doctors. You can't move their medical records around. You don't have access to that. So that's one of the things I talk about in the book is, you got to get with an elder law attorney or somebody and get a release for that. You need a HIPAA release to control their medical records.
Yes.
And that's one of the many little things that I talk about that it might not occur to people. And the book covers literally like 8 years of my life. And I wrote it pretty much over the summer last year because this is really hard for me to talk about, but my mom has gotten to the point to where she needed 24-hour care. And, you see these commercials on TV like A Place for Mom and Home Instead, and everybody's all happy. And it doesn't work like that. I mean, that stuff is expensive. And a lot of times a facility is the only way to ensure that somebody has 24-hour care. And, particularly, when, me and my brother and my sister, we're all, parents and grandparents. You have competing interests. Your spouse needs you. Your child needs you. Your grandchild needs you.
Yes.
Your parent needs you. You can't be in 8 places at one time. And even if you want to be, as you spoke about earlier, you can run yourself into bad health. And if you can't, if you're not in good health, you can't take care of anybody.
And another part that I wanted to touch on is sometimes we'll think that the single person, the person who doesn't have the kids or the husband or whatever, why don't we just leave most of that responsibility on that person because I have my kids, I have my job, I'm not able to do this and that and the other.
Right.
And then the single person is like, wait a minute, I mean, I have a life too. I didn't sign on for this. I don't know how to do this.
Well, like I was saying with me, I'm the bachelor in the family. I'm presently not married, and my brother and his wife are married. So in addition to their children, again, they have their spouse. And I don't think, I'm not going to say it's malicious. I just think, life happens.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everybody has their own stuff to deal with. I don't think anybody out here has a cakewalk in life. I mean, whether you be rich or famous, poor or whatever, everybody's going through something. They may or may not talk about it. But, in all my ads, I guess, all the promotions I do for the book, I use the phrase share the book and start the conversation.
Yes.
Because it's about communication. You have to talk. And it really has helped me be a better person, frankly. I mean, I have a lot more empathy. You know, so many of us, if somebody comes to us with an issue, we only see it from our perspective. And what this experience has done for me is help me put my feet in somebody else's shoes. So if somebody comes to me with something now, I'm a much better listener than I've ever been in my life. And if somebody is saying something to me, I truly try to hear them. You know, a lot of people listen, but they don't hear. I mean, people, and particularly the women in my life, you know, I got a daughter and a granddaughter. I got 3 nieces. You know, we're kind of outnumbered, the guys in my family. It's so many women, but my nephew's doing something about that. My great nephews they're all boys so far. But long story short, you know, you got to hear what people are saying to you. And just because something is, you know, lickety split or clear to you, it may or may not be clear to somebody. Because I've been a filmmaker now for the last 20 years, but before that, I worked in healthcare and I was a healthcare executive. So, you know, I had budgets and people working for me, and I had to read contracts. So I can read a contract and look at a budget, and I can pretty much know the financial aspects of something, but also understand the legal implications of it. But people who don't have that background, it may not be that easy for them.
Yes.
And unfortunately, for years, I would get impatient with folks because I'm like, well, this is simple, you know. But no, it's not simple to them because they don't have your background. And that's what I was talking about, listening, being empathetic, and really to just talk about it. You got to talk about it. And thank goodness, you know, that we've been able to, you know, keep my mom going now. I mean, she's been retired almost 25, 26 years.
Amen.
And it's a blessing, you know. She's still, you know, we hadn't had to move her over to Medicaid or anything, but literally putting her in assisted living was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do. And, you know, I'm a Christian and everything. And I truly feel like, you know, God kind of inspired this book in me because, you know, I mean, I got into filmmaking because I tell people I want to make people cry, but I like emotional things. I like drama. Yeah. You know, I like that's why I like going to the movie. You know, you can be transported for 2 hours and kind of forget about whatever's going on with you. But writing a book is totally different from writing a screenplay, and you have to approach it a little differently. But really, I just think the book is something that is a great stocking stuffer. It's not really that expensive, and it's not really that long. It's about 100 pages. But it talks about my experience, but more importantly, I have a glossary in the book.
Okay.
And I have a glossary that's full of legal and medical terms, and I got that too, again, from my healthcare background.
All right. Well, we're going to stop there just quick so we can take our last commercial break of the hour. Okay. And then when we get back, I do want to walk through what people can find in the book.
Okay. Great.
All right. So we'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Thank you for tuning in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. Stick in there for about maybe 10, 12, 13 more minutes, and we're going to round this whole thing out. We'll be right back.
How does a crawfish or shrimp etouffee sound? What about a piping hot cup of gumbo or a catfish platter with soft shell crawfish, catfish, livers, and pickles? And that's just for starters. What about entrees? If this is getting your mouth watering, then you need to come to the Praline Connection. Our down-home Cajun Creole-style restaurant has been providing soul food at affordable prices for over 20 years. And our pralines are delicious. We're a restaurant, a gift shop, and a candy shop, all in one. Bring your friends and enjoy an amazing meal today. Come see us at 542 Finchman Street in New Orleans, or check us out online at www.pralinconnection.com, and be sure to like us on Facebook. You can also give us a call at 504-943-3934.
Y'all know me, this the people person here.
Big homie head.
It's your boy Fred.
And this man, big fan.
Right. Listen, we're your host of the New Orleans Talk Network's Fan View. Real fans talk real sports. Check us out every Thursday night, 6 p.m.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
I think my producer was having a heart attack to let me know that we were back. But that's why I love Tarek, because Tarek just keeps me straight.
Yeah, and speaking of Tarek, I just want to give Tarek and the guys here at New Orleans Talk Network a big kudos, because what we're doing right here, right now is the future. Open source, live streaming is the future of broadcast. And one of my big things and one of the main reasons I got into media in the first place was I just really feel like minorities, people of color, we really got to find a way to have better control over our image. Right now, for better or worse, with typecast, we're seeing this caricatures, we're monolithic. And, us, like all human beings, we have many layers, we have many feelings, we have many emotions, we have many types. And this us and them thing, it really has to stop. But more importantly, we have to control our image. And I was reading today where Oprah sold like the majority interest of her company, to her partners. TV One is not, it's a black brand, but it's not black owned.
Right.
And
BET is not black owned anymore.
They're owned by Viacom. So at the end of the day, we're still being, I guess, exploited, for lack of a better word. And exploitation has a negative and a positive connotation.
Yes.
And I think it's a little bit of both, because it's not like that, the Oprahs and Bob Johnsons of the world are not making their money. But at the end of the day, we're still not in control of our image as much. Not to say, I got mad respect and love for Oprah and Mr. Johnson and people like that, and Kathy Hughes. But this is the future. It's open source, live streaming.
We still have Bounce Incision.
Yeah, but well, and I get caught up sometimes, because I've had
Centric.
Yeah, well, I've had the really good fortune to kind of work at some of the higher levels of the industry, and a lot of people, it's truly apples and oranges.
Right.
When you're talking about the Centrics of the world versus the NBCs and the ABCs and the Universals.
No, you're absolutely right. But, we can talk about that. But we're going to talk about your book right now, though.
Outstanding.
So this is Expectancy. I don't know if y'all can see it, but Tara can bring it up on the screen. But Expectancy, like you said, it's not a very big book, but there's a lot of information inside of this book. So can you want to walk us through it a bit?
Okay, well, I got the table of contents here open, because even though I wrote the book, believe it or not, I did not memorize the table of contents. It was like an outline that I just followed. But, chapter 1 talks about estate administration. Chapter 2 talks about how I call it the accidental caregiver, because being a caregiver was not part of my plan. I used to be a big planner, and I've really come to appreciate that, like, what's the old saying? You want to make God laugh, make a plan.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying don't plan. You need to plan. But so that's what chapter 2 was about. Then chapter 3 was really the first step I had to make. It was really the first step of the creep was, getting the power of attorney. I talk about, I just call it I Got the Power. And then chapter 4, it gets into more about the planning. One of my favorite phrases was a man without a plan is lost. So that's the name of that chapter. Then chapter 5 is about family members as caregivers. Chapter 6 is about outliving your savings. Because this will give you an idea.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Most of these facilities out here cost anywhere from a low side of $6,000 or $8,000 a month to north of $15,000. So if you're a person sitting around thinking, okay, I got a house that's paid for, I got $1 million in savings, you could be wiped out in a matter of years. You could be broke in a matter of years. because in order to get any type of government assistance, you literally have to be broke. I mean, to be on Medicaid, you can't have more than, I think it's $1,500 or $2,000 in total assets. That's everything. And trust me, by the time you get there, it's too late. And that's another reason why I'm just begging people to, really look into this, because you don't want to wait till you get caught up in this situation to make a plan. You need to be planning now at 40, 50, 30 even, and, for you young folks out there, you need to have the conversation with your parents. Generational wealth is huge, and that's what Chapter 7 is about. It's about generational wealth, and they call them financial instruments. I hate to use that word, but we live in America, so that's what trusts are for. And there's many trusts out there for you to protect your generational wealth and your cash. So you need to look into that, and you need to go to the appropriate professional to do that. But, instead of taking that trip to Cancun or Dubai, wherever you're going to go,
hey,
invest that money in your granddaughter's future and pay a professional to help you set up a trust for your property.
Actually, that's a very, very good point, because we think, okay, the bills are paid. We're doing okay. We can do this. We can splurge a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with splurging, because, I don't believe that we were put on this earth just to pay bills and not do anything.
Right.
We should be able to enjoy what God has blessed us with. But at the same time, we still need to ensure that we're keeping some type of a savings. Because I'll tell you, the GI Bill was not really a blessing for me.
Right.
Because I didn't use it. I didn't use the GI Bill or the Army College Fund. The Army paid for my education.
Right.
So I was able to take that money and give it to my daughter.
Right.
So now she's able to go to college for free.
Right.
But had I not put those systems in place, we'd be wondering what she was going to be doing next year when she gets ready to go to college.
There you go.
So, I know sometimes when we're young, we're like, we have the whole world, or we have the whole life ahead of us. We don't have to worry about this or that or the other. But soon those years are going to pass. And then what do we do when we get sick and we don't have anything to fall back on to get that medication?
Exactly.
Or our kids don't know what to do to take care of us, because we never told them where our wills were, or we never told them how to give us our medication, or so forth.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that was one of, and I talk about in the book, one of my early chapters. I talk about one of my dad's pet peeves was, people who accumulate this generational wealth and then don't train their children how to keep it.
Yes.
Or they don't put things in place and how to keep it. And I've seen families, and unfortunately, part of my family, on one side, we pretty much lost everything just because the family member who was in charge of that particular estate didn't have a succession plan. So, one of my grandparents and that particular side of the family, everything that they worked for their whole life was basically lost because people would not communicate. So again, conversation. Please talk.
Yes.
Please share. You can't take any of this stuff with you. And you want to, legacy is not a big word of mine, but it's important. You want your children and your grandchildren to have a better life than you had.
Right.
And this is one of the ways to make that happen.
All right. So we have a few minutes left. So I do want to reiterate, the name of the book is Expectancy, a caregiver's story of navigating family issues between retirement and transition. So tomorrow, when we have the Caregiver Summit, and if I can get Tarek to pull that flyer back up, tomorrow when we have the Caregiver Summit, Marvin is going to be one of our panelists. But we also have a couple other panelists who are going to be there. We have one of our sorority sisters, Tracy Powell. She owns her own foundation, the New Orleans Solid Rock Foundation.
Right.
But she's been a caregiver for her mother for months.
Right.
And so she's balancing her responsibilities with her foundation, with our sorority, and with her mother. She's going to talk a bit about that on tomorrow. We're also going to have a lady named Karen Stampley, who she actually does counseling for not just elderly people, but for younger people as well.
Right.
And she wants to talk about that whole self-care thing.
Yeah.
And then we have Tamat Yisrael. She's another person who is a former caregiver. She is the owner of the, and I didn't say who, well, let me back up a little bit. I didn't say who Karen was.
Okay.
But she actually has a foundation called I Am Empowerment
Okay.
And so she'll be talking about her counseling and how she helps people to just, live a bit more of a victorious life, so to speak.
That's great.
And then we go into Tamai Yisrael. Tamai is one of the owners of the Tambar Life Center, which is right on Claiborne Avenue here in New Orleans.
Okay.
And she is going to be talking about living a holistic lifestyle and also about self-care, because she's a former caregiver as well. Mm-hmm. And she knows very well what it means when you get so caught up and taking care of your sick or your elderly relative that many times you forget to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't get out and just go take a walk or something. Yeah. Or just maybe go hang out with your friends. Right. And then, or if you do it, you start to feel guilty because you should be at home with your relative.
Yeah, well, it's tough. And as people's mm-hmm. condition, it's really interesting, how, again, I keep using the word slow creep because that's what it is. I mean, no one has a crystal ball. I mean, it's not like, for all you accountants out there, it's not like, health has an amortization cycle. People, mm-hmm. and then people, your health is up and down sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's just a whole lot to deal with. But I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to be at the University of New Orleans in the Education Center tomorrow from 6 to 8. And it's a healthcare summit. It's free. Anybody in New Orleans, in the area, come on out.
And let me tell y'all something. I know the football game is tomorrow. I know, but this summit is from 6 to 8. Y'all can go to the summit, get some knowledge dropped on you, and then you can go. No, I did not pick a bad time, Terry. Don't be giving me these notes on my screen. No. So you go get some knowledge dropped on you and then go watch the game. Yeah. I know it's all good. Or you can record the first part. You only going to miss about 20, 30 minutes of it. You'll be all right. Just come on out to the game because let me tell you, not only are we going to have a great time, we're going to get a lot of information. We're even going to have Mount Olivet come out. Mount Olivet is the only African-American, fully 100% African-American cemetery and mausoleum in the city. Right. And they're going to come out, and because one of the things that you talk about in your book is also transition. Exactly. Making sure that you have these plans taken care of now. Right. And it's so much easier to pay for a gravesite over time than to have to pay for that all at once after your loved one has passed. Yeah,
and I'd like to piggyback on that. Unfortunately, we're all going to transition, as they say. Mm-hmm. And with me being a paralegal and a business person in the family, I've made a lot of funeral arrangements. And believe it or not, you can make much better financial, decisions, was the word I was looking for, when you're not grieving. Yes. Because one of the things, and I have a fiduciary responsibility to my mother's money, so I have to spend it in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways I did that was my sister and I, we prepaid her funeral arrangements. Yes. And we were able to save probably about 20-25% of what we paid, in my experience, with the other arrangements we had to make when we were in grief, just because we didn't have that grief pressure. Yes. So you could look at something a little bit more logical and a little bit more analytical. And again, failed plan to fail. Amen. The more you can plan and the more you can actually talk to this about your loved ones or with your loved ones, I think when they finally do pass away, it'll help you with your grieving process, because mm-hmm. you won't have to guess what they want. Exactly. You won't have to hope you fulfilled their wishes. Yes. You'll actually know. And it's not something that's easy to talk about. Again, I've done a lot of things in life, and this is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. But it's also brought me great joy because, everybody loves their mother. And I'm my mom's baby boy, and she took real good care of me. And she used to say, well, I can't believe you're doing this for me, blah, blah, blah. And I say, Mom, you got about 19, 20 years in the hole that I owe you. So, yes. So, because my boys used to tease me all the time, call our house Little House on the Prairie, because my mom was a housewife. So, she would make meals and, do laundry, and it was old-fashioned. Awesome. And, well, the name of the book is Expectancy. We are going to be giving away 2 copies tomorrow as door prizes. Is that correct? Exactly.
Okay, so you have to come. You have to be in it to win it. So we want to see you tomorrow from 6 to 8 over at the University of New Orleans Education Center. And like I said, it's going to be a good time. And we're not going to keep you long. We'll have about an hour worth of a panel, and then we'll do a book signing.
Exactly.
And then get some more information from the other people in the room, and then we're going to move on. And then you'll be able to go watch the Precious Saints play their game. I'm Kaepernicking though, so it's all right with me.
Well, I'm a Redskin fan. And,
oh goodness, here we go.
See, what you got.
Don't you want the people to come out? Don't tell people that.
Week, but I'm a homer. I live in the real world, but
no, you didn't.
Well, one time we were feared and respected. I don't really know if we are these days, but that's all right. I'm still a fan.
That's okay. Now we have about 2 minutes left, so just want to give you a few more announcements. Do not forget about the Black History Month Literary Weekend, February 23rd and 24th. Marvin is going to be one of our authors at that event, and we're going to have 7 other authors who I will be announcing as the weeks go along, and then we're going to interview them all in February as we're leading up to that. Now, it's not just going to be a book signing. We're going to have a free writers workshop. We're going to have a literary jazz brunch. We're going to have the world premiere of Cheating in the Next Room, the stage play. For those of you who have been following me for a long time, you'll know that Cheating in the Next Room was my very first novel, and it did very well. So now we are putting it on stage. So I want you to join us for that. Also, if you would like me to appear at your function as a speaker, all you have to do is just contact me at info@mtwimagesolutions.com. Also, if you're looking for publicity assistance, if you're looking for writing assistance, editing assistance, or anything that has to do with your image, just make sure you give me a call. That's you can go to my website at www.mtwimagesolutions.com, or you can email me at info@mtwimagesolutions.com. And finally, we are still casting for the month of January. So if you are an author, a comedian, a playwright, or what have you, anything that has to do with the literary scene, and you would like to be featured on Horizons, then just contact us. I'll give you the email address one more time. info@mtwimagesolutions.com. And that is all we have for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Marvin, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And we will see you on tomorrow.
Okay.
So y'all have a great night. Have a blessed rest of the week, and I'll see you next week. Readers and Shakers, it's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hi, I'm Linda Lewis with Lewis Armstrong Family Services here live at New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Come join us. Thank you.